well-behaved woman is trim and proper. Chores, always done, not a hair out of place. When the husband comes home, she greets him with a smile.
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
Are you tired of Hitler?
I feel no shame.
Okay, one liar as a kid can find another liar.
I want that stricken from the record.
How else is she gonna learn if she doesn't have a feather?
I can bump fuck in the big house.
You're a mess troll.
I am here to audition for Babysitters Club extras. I brought my own hammer.
Woo!
Oh yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Welcome back, everybody. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to another episode of Well-Behaved Women. This is a special spooky birthday episode. My name is B. You guys know me. For the 5 of you that are listening, thanks. Love you.
Love you.
Thanks.
As always, I am joined by Zombie Hannah Moses,
Hello.
the birthday girl herself.
32
The
years.
rebirthday girl.
Yeah, the rebirth. First,
The rebirth, that's
first
right.
birthday as a zombie.
Well, I wanted Lauren to say it because she coined it. I didn't want to steal her thunder.
Rebirthday girl.
The rebirthday girl because she's a zombie. And as always, joined by our co-host, the hostess with the mostest, our resident librarian, historian, archaeologist, and all-around cool lady, super nerd Lauren.
Love you.
What's up, babe?
Yep. Thanks. Hi.
Hi.
So, what's the scoop? What are we learning about today?
Well,
What's the spooky scoop?
today we have 3 stories. We've got 3 tales of mystery, intrigue.
Nothing happened.
And
Was something
haunting.
supposed to happen in the headphones?
Is it not playing?
Nope.
No.
Now it's happening.
The ambiance.
And ominous music.
Should
I
we
see,
do a
I see.
seance for my birthday?
We can light candles while we
I'd
paint.
like to talk to my grandboo if we do.
Yeah.
She's my grandmother.
A little bit. Can you?
I picked on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like nice in the background.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it in the background.
Is that a train horn?
Maybe.
It's royalty-free spook.
The
Yeah.
year was 1817. All was not well in the small town of Adams, Tennessee.
It was 1817, yeah.
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 As John Bell Sr. laid eyes on a chimera, a weird-looking freakish creature with the body of a dog but the head of a rabbit.
Oh.
There's so many different chimeras.
When I think chimera, I think like a sphinx.
a lion head. Yeah.
It's many. So chimera is literally just a mishmash of 2 different...
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, it's like it's a general
It's a
umbrella.
It's a mutt slut of monsters.
cool.
It's the general
we
umbrella
love a
term.
mutt and a
And
slut.
you can have elements of other things.
Who are you telling?
No, we are slut positive.
You heard it here first.
Yes.
As most men living out in the wilderness are wont to do when they see a weird thing, John shot at the creature but missed. Before he could do anything else, the strange apparition disappeared. But who was John Bell Sr., and why was this
He was
happening?
a running man right now. That thing's disappearing
He's
right after
scared.
you missed it. I'm running. Because you don't know where it is, and you just tried to kill it. And yet you did not.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, you miss, or
Yeah.
even like you hit a part of its little leg or whatever, and you just
Yeah.
pissed it the fuck off.
Yeah, you just made it worse.
Yeah.
So tell us who John Bell Sr. is.
Yes. Yes.
John
Who is
Bell
this idiot?
Sr. was the patriarch of the Bell family. He and his wife Lucy had 6 children.
Oh, damn.
Jesse, Betsy, John Jr., Drury, and Benjamin. They married when she was 12 and he was 32.
Ew!
Although they had prospered in North Carolina, where the
this
family
poor
was
girl.
originally from,
Uh-huh.
John and Lucy moved their family over the mountains into Tennessee near the Red River.
You bastard.
Ya bastard.
Everything from now on is just you bastard.
He's a pedo.
Yeah, I hate him. And I'm glad I criticized his decisions.
I was going to say, his testimony is already questionable.
Yeah, I don't know what I believe.
I'm calling, Your Honor, I call him to question the character of this witness.
As patriarch, the man had to make decisions for his family, and some of them were things like cheating humans out of fair wages by enslaving them, and cheating neighbors out of land deals.
Ah, yes.
Even though now we would see that as a big deal, back then it was just being a guy.
It's
He
just
owned
business as usual.
9 humans, to be exact.
It's a nice round number.
Nice
Great.
round number, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know. Ugh.
Frederick and Kate Batts lived next to the Bell family, and because Freddie was a sickly man, Kate was the breadwinner. Because there were so few options in the world for a woman in the working world, the family was obviously poor. Kate was also a little kooky in her own right.
She was kooky.
She was kooky.
Ooh, like, are we talking she wore 2 different kinds of socks kooky, or like she be doing witchcraft in the woods kooky?
Well, we'll see about that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's 1817, so I doubt they had any other type of sock than, like, the one other sock that they
Everybody
have.
made their own socks, though. So, I
Yeah.
mean, like, if
So
you're
all of
kooky, you're
them are-
making different socks. That's like the
Maybe.
bare bones.
Yeah. I guess so. Maybe she would do it on purpose. Like, oh, I just feel like a, left-handed blue sock today.
Yeah. Or maybe I want a kitty cat on my right foot. I don't know.
Did they have, like, cats stitched on clothes back in the
I'm sure
1800s?
some people
If you're
were doing
making
it.
your own
Yeah,
socks,
I mean-
it's possible.
Stitch whatever the fuck you want on
Yeah,
it.
somebody had
Somebody had to be.
individuality
Right.
at some point.
So once there was a particularly vigorous repenting going on at the local church. A man deep in the throes of his spiritual cleansing.
Uh-oh.
Kate, having come in fashionably late but ready for anything, walked into the chapel, saw the man convulsing on the ground, and promptly sat on his face.
What? I'm sorry, what was her name again? I feel like I need to know who this is.
Kate Batts.
Kate Batts.
I mean,
She knew a vibrator when she saw one. Yeah, I gotta get it out. That's. I had to say it. Somebody had to say it.
tell us more about that.
It's the first vibrator. It's 1817. I mean,
yeah.
they didn't have electricity yet.
The repenting convulsions are
Why
just
else would she sit on his face?
They're particularly pleasing.
The exorcism was the first vibrator. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Well, come on. Come on.
I'm just saying, why else is she going to sit on his face? Is there another reason for this
I'm
action?
I'm not mad. I don't
it
need
brought
another
him out
reason.
of his trance, so after a while he calmed down.
Oh, so
and
it's like
Kate got
smelling
off of him.
salts?
Basically. Smelling pussy salts.
Love it.
Here,
Pussy
the
is
smell
safe.
of my vagina is going to help you.
Save a man, sit on his face.
I knew Gwyneth Paltrow
Pussy
wasn't the first one to
saves
come up with this
lives.
shit.
No.
Pussies
always
save
been around.
lives, everyone.
I could have told you that.
But we have
Pussies are the
accounts.
secular gods.
Yeah, this is the original god.
Took him out of, celestial repentance into secular enjoyment.
Ah, well, depends on how you look at it.
I mean,
He was saved one
he
way
was
or
in a
another.
very good mood after that. He
I
was
bet.
like, yeah,
he
it
was
worked.
riding high.
No, she was riding high.
Both were riding high.
So when John Sr. cheated her out of a land deal, she was none too happy, and she'd said that she'd get her revenge.
Hey, I sat on your face, you fuck.
No, this is a different guy.
Oh.
John Sr. was not the man repenting and convulsing. He was the one. He's John Bell Sr., the Bell family. Mm-hmm. He cheated her out of a land deal because they were like neighbors.
I see. So she's
I
like,
just-
you know
I
what?
just thought that I just thought the face sitting thing was funny enough to actually put it in.
No, I'm glad you did, because now she'll be like, you know what? If I see you convulsing,
I'm gonna sit on your face.
No, I'm not going to sit on your face.
Hannah's going to think about this for the rest of the day.
Probably.
Yeah.
And that's fine. This is going to be amazing.
Around the same time, John Sr. had been witnessing the chimera. His children witnessed their own set of odd things. Drew saw a bird on the fence and approached it. The thing flew off but was shockingly large. Betsy saw a woman swinging from a tree dressed in a green gown.
Oof.
Even the slaves saw things. Dean, one of the enslaved men, said he'd seen many times a large and weird dog walking along with him. Sometimes it even had 2 heads.
Ah, so this is some devil shit.
Yeah, but even when it didn't, he knew it was not of this world.
Or
Absolutely.
everybody's on drugs.
They're all tripping balls.
Oof.
Yeah.
Somebody found some mushrooms.
That's exactly, yep.
Well, this was the beginning, either way. Before long, the family began hearing banging within the walls of their home, the sound of dogs barking and fighting, chains being dragged along the floor, and gnawing on the beds of the family members. The Bell family didn't know what to think. What had they even done wrong? I mean, other than, like, owning people and cheating neighbors. Obviously.
Yeah, no.
Other than
what
that.
in their minds had they done wrong?
Well, soon
We're
after
just
this...
doing what everybody else is doing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Soon after the banging on the walls, John Bell Sr. felt a strange paralysis in his mouth. Instead of sounds, now there were physical elements to the attacks. Bed sheets would fly off the beds of the sleeping children. The family members would get slapped, scratched, and have their hair pulled by the invisible entity.
Kinky.
It seemed to hold particular vitriol for the daughter Betsy, who had just blossomed recently.
Oh, shit. Oh,
You're a woman now.
What did I just... I'm a prophet on this goddamn podcast.
Right.
How many times do I have to call shit?
Every time.
Oh.
What'd you call?
I said kinky,
So
and then
many
she was
things.
talking about this
Oh,
young
that.
girl going through puberty who this ghost particularly affected.
Yeah.
Yep. And literally, she's the oldest daughter.
It
and
was a ghost.
It was a ghost.
I was raped by a ghost, too.
Oh. Just gonna drop that in conversation?
Yep, let's move on.
Are you okay?
Nope.
I take
But
it you
for
don't want to
other
talk
reasons. Nope.
All right. We're gonna talk about Betsy now.
Well, so the Bell family was obviously concerned, so they called over their buddy. He was another local. His name was James Johnston, and he came to the home and stayed with them at John's request.
Okay.
Please help. Are we crazy?
Yes, but for
Yeah.
many reasons.
We'll figure out which ones tonight. And that very night, James experienced the same phenomena, and in the morning confirmed everyone's worst fears. It was a spirit, like those things they had in the Bible.
In the Bible?
Them spirits.
That their Bible right there.
That their Bible.
Spirits in the Bible.
Get that devil Bible out of here.
From there, the Bell home went viral. The people came
Went
from far
viral.
and wide to experience the Bell haunting.
1817 viral.
1817 viral. As viral as you can get back then. Other than,
Actually,
Like the
having a
plague and
virus.
yeah.
That is very
that's
viral.
a bacteria, sorry. What's a viral thing?
Viral is
Spanish flu.
Meningitis.
What?
Meningitis.
There it is. It went viral like meningitis. They came from far and wide to experience the Bell haunting. One visitor asked questions that the spirit could answer with numbered knocks. Every question was correct. Soon enough, people would ask the spirit questions, and the spirit began to answer with words spoken aloud. When they asked, "Who are you, and what do you want?" she answered in a soft voice, "I am a spirit. I was once very happy, but have been disturbed and made unhappy. I am the spirit of a person who was buried in the woods nearby, and the grave was disturbed, my bone disinterred and scattered, and one of my teeth was lost under this house. I am here looking for that tooth." Yeah. She also claimed to be a spirit from everywhere, heaven, hell, the earth. I'm in the air, the houses, any place at any time, have been created for millions of years.
Okay.
I mean, part of this is loony bin shit, but also,
Yeah.
I mean, if all souls are connected and everything's one entity, I mean, like, I get it. I see where we're coming from.
Okay.
If that's what they believe in 1817, for sure.
The family and visitors tried to figure out where she was from, why she'd shown up, and the answers varied from having a Native American burial ground disturbed and sending the family members on a wild goose chase for hidden treasure, all the way to being conjured for the purpose of making the Bell family
Yeah, it becomes
miserable.
a telephone game.
Yeah. Skeptics abound, but all were convinced on leaving the property that the Bell witch family witch was indeed real. This spirit seemed to everyone who interacted with her to be both omnipresent and omniscient. When one visitor asked about what exactly his grandmother would say if one of her servants had made a mistake, the spirit answered immediately in her voice and Dutch accent, "Tut tut, what has happened now?" I don't know how to say a Dutch accent. I got nothing.
That's not
What
one
has
that's in my
happened?
repertoire.
That's
Yeah.
rare. But she said tut tut, which is a big deal. 2 sermons at 2 churches 13 miles apart would magically be preached by the Bell family witch into the Bell home at the same time.
The Bell family witch. That sounds familiar.
When an Englishman visited the property, he heard his parents' voices clearly as they were right next to him, speaking about how worried they were about his safety. Before the family was up the next morning, the Englishman ran out of the home and went to contact his parents, who still lived in England. And when he wrote to the family...
But they were dead!
Well, he wrote to the family sometime later, and it turns out his parents had heard his voice in their home that same
shit.
night. A particular favorite
It's like
activity...
that noise Ghost making Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
We need like some chains to like rattle in the background.
God. The main villain I remember is the skeleton in the astronaut-looking suit or the scuba diver suit, whichever one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one always scared me.
Like, Soink Scoob, it's the creeper.
My God.
He's so good at it.
He's so good at it.
Time, yeah.
Reggie.
Oh, God. You do need to do some voice acting.
A particular favorite activity of the spirit was to give sermons, and as she had an affinity for biblical text, a lot of it was highly referential. Another thing she seemed to enjoy was
Source material.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is my personal favorite. She also enjoyed sharing gossip
Of course.
and drama from
course.
other households that she'd visit.
Absolutely.
That's why she's a fucking disturbed spirit, because she disturbed everybody else when she was walking around.
When asked, she would sometimes leave to go to these other places for a moment, only to come back and give a crystal clear description of exactly what was happening.
I see.
During this whole time, she's still terrorizing the family. Betsy.
Busy.
Yeah. Betsy's getting beat to shit. John Sr. can barely sleep. These were the main two targets of the spirit, who verbalized many times that she was out to get John and she wanted him dead.
Oofta.
On the other hand,
Me too, girl.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Lucy Bell, the 12-year-old bride,
Oofta.
she had been described by the spirit as, quote, the most perfect woman to walk the earth.
Oh, she's a girl's girl.
A ghost sympathizer.
She'd bring Lucy fresh fruit
Excellent.
and would sing her hymns.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I
who
love
wouldn't
her.
Who wouldn't want to be sung to by a ghost?
I mean, me, but like,
Depends on who the
for
ghost is.
this 12-year-old, at least the ghost is being nice to her. And
No. She's fully an adult now, but she's
Oh.
got a bunch of kids, and now she's getting haunted.
Oh,
Being followed
well,
around by
okay.
ghosties.
She's an adult, but, you know.
You know what? Just set boundaries with her and tend to go. You know,
Like, what are the-
if she's
what are
nice
the
to you, she'll
songs we
respect
sing?
it.
Fine. They were bringing.
Yeah.
She was getting
Do they
free
sound
fruit.
good?
Yeah, I like her.
Is she a good singer? That's my
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think it's important.
Did you see in your research
What?
Do we
the
know
songs-
if she was a good singer or
like
not?
a good singer?
I have zero clue.
Okay.
And it says many times, and we'll get into it, that she does sing.
Huh.
So I would imagine, like, she probably wasn't a bad singer, or people would have asked her to stop by now.
Huh, all right.
I don't know.
Or she just doesn't care. She's
Maybe
like,
she doesn't care.
I want to sing.
That's part of the haunting.
Yeah. This is my job.
I'm gonna sing
Don't
you
tell me
into
how to do my
insanity.
job.
She was also fairly kind and restrained to John Bell Jr., one of the little boys.
Okay.
One visitor came and tried to catch the ghost.
With
This-
what? Like a net?
The spirit would mess with the family, and the man would jump toward the source of the taunting and obviously miss, falling onto the floor.
Would he have a jar?
So then he tried to throw flour on the floor to see where the spirit's tracks were.
Okay. I mean, that has some logic to it.
At one point, as the story goes, he did catch her. He held on to the invisible entity and tried to toss her into the fireplace. The spirit, none too happy about being held onto, emitted a foul stench and gave the man, complaining of the exceeding weight of the witch and the terrible smell.
No.
Let go the spirit and gave up the
All
chase.
right. I think B and I both have a theory about what's going on. B, you go first.
I think what happened is he was getting paid, so he put on a
Yes!
show, and in the midst of putting on
Yes!
a show, he shat his pants
Absolutely.
and blamed it on the ghost.
That's
Isn't that obvious
absolutely
to
what it
everyone
is.
right now that's what happened?
Yes. I second the theory.
suddenly
Oh, this ghost is
she's
so
way
heavy.
too heavy.
Way too
This
heavy.
room is ruined. It's just, don't you smell that ghost? Woo! Well,
You gotta pay me double now.
I think she's pissed.
It's just like a skunk.
Ghost of a skunk. Mm-hmm. And also, what does throwing it into the fireplace do? What a fucking con artist.
I think he wants it to go up the chimney?
Yeah, if you catch it on fire, I guess it
A
burns
reverse
and dies.
Santa.
Whatever
But,
you
like,
can
how
think
do
of,
you
because he's
even
fully
know
full
that
of
it's gonna
shit.
fall into the fireplace? At some point, she said this thing that John had been suspecting for quite some time. It must have been old Kate Batts, that nutty neighbor.
Okay.
I am Kate Batts' ghost, the ghost called.
Of course. Yeah.
It called out.
Right at that convenient moment.
Mm-hmm. John Sr., or Old Jack, as she called him, was basically right in her sights. She said many, many, many times that she intended to kill him.
Well, then
through
fucking do it already.
curses and
Yeah.
poisonings and hauntings and all this shit. Hold on, yeah. Afflictions, threats, and curses.
Strike him down.
That's the magical trifecta. Yeah. So from then on, the spirit accepted being called Kate because he'd called her Kate, and she would respond to that when called upon. Mm-hmm. The thing is, Kate Batts was still alive.
Ha!
She just still lived up the road. And this was not the first time that someone had mentioned something about her being weird and spooky.
Meanwhile,
is this
off
the first
street.
Is this the first instance of like identity theft by a ghost?
That's funny.
I think this might be it. Like, Kate would have a case here.
Yeah. But what judge would take that case?
A spectral judge.
Okay. So he's a judge and a medium?
Yes.
How do you even bill out for something like that? Like,
You write it
gotta
down.
have extra qualifications to be the medium on top of being the judge. But, like, how do you write in the invoice? Like, spiritual...
This is 1817. I could just write whatever the fuck I want on a piece of paper and say I got it from
Private
XYZ
consultations.
University. Yeah.
Bingo.
All right. Oh, I'm
Certify
sorry.
that,
Fair
bitch.
enough.
Is 7 years experience not enough? Hold on. I have 12.
So the spirit said that Kate had conjured the spirit as a way to get back at the Bells, who by now were suffering day and night. In fact, locals who knew of the terrorizing of the family would come to visit the ghost just to distract the spirit so that John Sr. could get a little bit of rest.
No, they wanted to know what was going on in that house. They needed to get dirty and find the information.
Oh yeah,
so
they wanted
could
the gossip too.
Dish that
All
out.
that hot goss. Oh yeah.
Give me that hot goss.
A couple years later, Betsy, who was old enough to get married at 14 or 15, got herself engaged.
All right.
As you do.
Yeah.
Ooh, real quick. You
Yeah.
can edit this part out. That give me that hot goss is a podcast. So if we put this on a Patreon, you might want to cut that out.
A Patreon.
I meant a Patreon. I was looking
This
at
is a regular
pastries.
episode.
Okay, then yeah, you might want to take that out.
Patreon
Gotta
is
put her in the penitentiary.
Listen, she could do baking videos and call it a Patreon.
Oh my god, yeah.
That.
Annika's got dibs.
Mark it.
But yeah, if you want to take out the little song I sing, I don't know if they're going to care, but just in case.
That would be like having to ask permission every time I mentioned the dollop or last podcast.
Well, you're giving out the name of the podcast, so I guess
Yeah.
I should say it's from the Even the Rich podcast.
Free promotion.
Accidentally, sorry. But yay for you.
To all 5 of our people,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're really
we
going to
appreciate
they're going to
each
come
and
right
every
out.
one of you.
Yes, we do. All right, sorry.
All right. So Betsy gets engaged, but the spirit wasn't having it. She said over and over and over again that Betsy must not marry her affianced, Joshua Gardner. And while she...
I was like, you have a say in
Wait,
this?
what? I have a friend with that name. That's funny.
While eventually the wedding was canceled, the whole time of betrothal was marred by the Bell Witch's constant terrorizing of Betsy to not marry Joshua.
This ghost should have a lot more. Why do they care? Is Betsy the one that they were singing to?
Betsy is one of the people that's getting the shit beat out of her. So basically, I want to
ghost-
get beat up more if I marry this guy because you are telling me that I can't.
Wait, so who was beating Betsy up?
The ghost.
Oh, the ghost was. Oh, never
Yeah.
mind.
I mean, and probably her man. mean,
I
let's
was
think
figuring
about
that the
historical
ghost
times,
maybe was
but
being
whatever.
protective, but
No.
Okay, I see.
For 4 long years, the Bell family suffered nearly constant attacks from the spirit. When John Sr. got more sick, the spirit seemed to delight in this, and when he eventually died, the family believed that the spirit had been the one to slowly poison him over years. At the funeral, the spirit showed up and interrupted the mourning with the loud singing of drinking songs, clearly
Okay.
celebrating her win.
He's fucking dead.
She doesn't give two shits.
fucking
I
dead.
fucking killed him.
Ding dong, the king or the.
Ding.
I was gonna say the
dong,
witch,
bitches.
but yeah.
How do you get a ghost drunk? With booze.
Ah.
Okay.
I keep the head turning.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Now, there's one source that actually says that Betsy fell in love with Joshua and she had learned ventriloquism. She used this skill to try and convince Joshua to marry Betsy, but when it didn't happen, the apparition just stopped showing up.
Oh.
But that wouldn't really account for, like, all of the other shit that had been happening.
Yeah.
So either way, in 1821, after John Sr. died, Betsy and Joshua called off the wedding, and the spirit, having accomplished both of her goals, seemingly, she stated she'd leave, but she'd come back in 7 years.
I'm going to check on you.
Yeah, and that was it. For 7 years, Lucy Bell and her children lived in peace and relative harmony, and when the spirit did return in 1828...
Oh, it did.
They ignored her, and eventually she left them alone again.
Oh, my God. Ice that bitch out.
Kate Batts, for her part, outlived John Bell Sr. by 22 years and never had another issue with the Bell family. But since then and forevermore, the site of the Bell Witch has been visited over and over, with each new tourist showing up and waiting for the moment the Bell Witch returned.
Seems convenient. She terrorized them for so long, and then when she returns, they were able to get rid of her by just ignoring her.
Yep.
We didn't think of that the first fucking time, y'all.
I mean, I guess she also could have, been and then since they weren't engaging, she was just like, all right, this is boring, I'm just gonna leave.
Could be. All right. So this, for some reason, when I keep hearing Bell Witch, I'm wondering if
I
this
think
had
you're thinking Blair Witch, I think, is why it's triggering. Cause it's,
No. Who put Bella in the witch elm?
What? Oh, I don't know what that is.
I got nothing on that.
Okay. I just think it might just be
Is that
because
a
the similar
Twilight
sounding-
reference?
No. It's a true crime case.
Oh, I don't know that either. Okay.
We're getting into my wheelhouse of true crime and serial killers.
Dun, 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 the wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Here we are at the wheelhouse.
Yeah, but this is excellent.
And now for another tale.
Oh!
We've got 3 today.
We got 3!
We got
then-
3.
All right.
It's for spoopy season.
Spoopy!
It is. And I might have something to add to the third one.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Number 2.
For this story, we move slightly northward into the fabulous glitz and glamour of Harper's Ferry, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
A tiny town on a peninsula that literally sticks right between Maryland and Virginia. Harper's Ferry is most well known for being the location that abolitionist John Brown barricaded himself during the attack on the town.
Oh, shit.
But back in 1833, nobody knew who John Brown was yet. It was a nowhere town, and it was only made something for the fact that it had a railroad and a train station that ran on the north coast, right along the Maryland border.
That's all you need.
Otherwise, how the fuck are you getting there?
Yeah.
It was aptly named the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, as those seemed to be the only 2 places it was beneficial for.
Oh,
Oh,
I got
shit,
that. I got
okay.
that space in Monopoly.
It's on Monopoly?
Baltimore Railroad. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The company came in, put up a train station, and built some storage sheds along the way, and then they left.
Oh, okay. Bye.
Yep.
Later.
Being smack dab in the middle of a global Great Depression, the shacks were soon inhabited by the local homeless of the area.
Yeah, free housing at that point.
Shantytown.
Yeah.
One of these residents was a woman named Jenny.
Jenny.
Now, Jenny
Sorry.
was just a sad sack of a person.
Oh, damn.
She had no family to speak of,
Oh, shit.
no job, no money, very few friends, and has been described as being alone for most of her life.
Tell it like it is.
Oh, God.
I thought I was.
I thought I was.
I'm
I
here
did
for
the
it.
research, B.
And it's just like, fuck, you're really laying it on. I'm like, no, that's
Nah,
what
man.
it is.
Yeah,
Dems to facts.
Dims to
I
facts,
know. It
man.
just sucks. I feel bad.
Well, she sucks, apparently.
I know. It does sound like she sucks. I'm waiting for that.
Having nowhere to go and no one to live with, Jenny moved herself into one of the shacks. Jenny was one of those incredibly kind and forgetful people, and she often went without so that others could eat or have shelter or whatever.
Well, that's how she ended up homeless. Fucking
Yeah.
Jenny's dumb.
Jenny's dumb. I can't say she isn't because I don't know her, so.
Withholding judgment on this tale.
She won't take a stance on anything.
I'm
She
waiting
won't
for
name
more.
anyone.
This is so diplomatic of you. Oh my god.
The neutrality is intense.
I'm a Libra.
Yeah.
Whatever
there it
that
is.
means.
It means exactly what you described.
She would make food and bring it to others in the sheds, and she was constantly trying to do good things for others, often to her own detriment. And she was like stone
we found out.
poor. Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
a fucking
we
broth
called it again.
making poor out of like things that she found.
Yeah,
And-
you gotta get the collagen out of everything. And all the
Sometime, yeah, somehow.
whatever you can get.
And so one evening, as she was sitting in her shack drinking her little broth made of who knows what, A spark from her very meager fire in her very meager shack flew onto the folds of her very meager skirt. Jenny was so exhausted.
They're very meager.
Very, very meager.
I remember briefly reading this one now.
Jenny was so exhausted from being hungry and cold that she didn't even notice until the flames reached her skin. At this, Jenny jumped up and tried to pour her broth.
Jenny is a dumb bitch. Why are we feeling bad for Jenny?
I mean, the second you're, like, give it like 5 seconds after you get lit up, it's going to hurt. Or at least
unless
feel
it
hot.
turns out that she has like a disability and I'm just an asshole, I don't feel bad for this
It's
broad.
a fucking cold night. She is trying to warm herself with broth, and all of a sudden she feels a tiny bit of relief and warmth on her legs, thinking maybe the broth finally worked.
And then all of a sudden she's on fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Jenny.
she jumped up and she tried to pour the broth that she had onto the skirts to help
But since
put
it
out
was
the
made
fire.
of alcohol,
I was
she
gonna
became
say.
a fireball.
I was like,
That
please don't
was
tell
it,
me
yeah.
she was really trying to get warm.
Booze soup.
In pain and terrified, Jenny ran out of the shack a short ways to the train station, yelling for help. She tried to find station attendants or anyone, but the station was empty.
Oh, God.
Jenny was now engulfed in flames.
I was going to say, imagine this lady
wow.
just running around at a fucking fireball
Would you let
in the
her
middle of
in?
the night.
Yeah, I wouldn't let her
Yeah.
in either. Yeah.
And there's no plumbing. What am I going to fucking put her out with?
Nobody
Yeah,
knows
I've got
about
a
stop,
bucket
drop, and
at
roll
most,
yet.
and it's not of
There's
something
a
I want to
stream
toss on
over
you.
yonder.
She's
but-
literally at the head of a river. She
If
could just
only
run into the river.
They knew about stop, drop, and roll. She wouldn't even have to make it to the river.
Listen,
Well, it
if
was
she-
also probably really fucking cold. Like, if she got out of the river, then
Even
she'd freeze to death.
better. Or not that part. I meant stop, drop, and roll. The ground is colder. Perfect. Take all the heat.
It's like in Batman: The Dark Knight Rises when they're in the fucking judgment room with
Oh, yeah.
Crane, and
Yeah.
he's like, "All right, well, for your crimes, your choices are death or exile." And Commissioner Gordon goes, "If you think we're going out on that ice, you're crazy." And he goes, "So
Death.
death then."
Yeah.
Yep.
And he goes, just kind of stares him down, and Crane takes his gavel and he goes, "All right, well,
You said it.
so death then." By exile.
By exile.
Oh, shit.
Burn. That's what that sounds like. It's like death or death.
fucked either way.
Die in the river, die on a fireball,
Or learn how to stop, drop, and roll real quick.
So she's now engulfed in flames. She slowed her running as she weakened, and she was still screaming and screaming and screaming for help.
Oh, God.
At some point, she stumbled onto the tracks themselves, following them to try and find another shack resident to help her. Likely blinded by the flames and screaming so loudly she couldn't hear, Jenny didn't realize that a train was coming. The train conductor rounded a bend and suddenly saw a glowing ball of fire in the middle of the tracks. He screeched the train to a halt as soon as he could, but it was too late, for Jenny was struck by the train and crushed underneath, still ablaze. The conductor
That
was
sucks.
mortified. Yeah, what fucking sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. I don't know what else to say.
Not only was she on fire and suffering, I mean, at a certain
Also
point,
got hit
you
by
can't
a
feel it anymore, being
Yeah.
on fire. It
I
burns all your
guess.
senses. No, that's
or
what
all
they
the
say.
pain just collides and it just,
Well,
you can't.
They say that if you're covered in, if your whole body gets engulfed in flames, very quickly, your skin becomes so burnt that you can't feel any of it.
Yeah, you're
So,
sensitive.
Between
Like
that and the
senses are
adrenaline that's going through your body.
Well,
so,
right, with the adrenaline, yes, you're less likely to feel it. But
well,
I mean, your
and
nerves.
you're literally burning your nerves, so you can't feel it. But imagine
No, I don't want to. Thank you. Skin stuff always. was
if
like,
she's well, not even that. She's a fucking fireball, and she runs out onto the train tracks,
Nothing.
into the headlights of the train,
and can't see it and
and
can't hear it.
yeah, one or the other. I mean, maybe her eyeballs are burned off at this point. Who fucking
Well,
knows?
I mean, either that or just you can't. You're going to keep them closed.
Well,
Right.
her eyelashes for sure burned.
Absolutely.
That's like one of the first things.
Yeah, exactly.
When it gets up there.
And then she gets fucking obliterated by the cowcatcher of this fucking steam engine train and blown to fiery bits.
Cow catcher.
That pointy thing in the front.
Oh, I thought that was like for snow.
No, it's literally to
Nah,
like
it's to
scooch
shove
cows
off
out
the
of the
railroad
way
tracks.
Oh. Oh, well, I
Yeah.
learned something.
without necessarily killing them.
But often does.
I was going to say. Doesn't seem like it's going to
Yeah, it's not exactly a like considerate
gentle.
alternative. Yeah.
No.
There it is. It's not gentle.
It's
you
not
said
gentle.
it. But
Okay, ow.
That's what it's for.
All right,
Yeah.
so what happened with that?
Well, the conductor.
she's a ghost now.
Okay.
Obviously,
No,
she's got
I know
some
where this is-
unfinished business to take care of.
It's not about the end, it's about the journey.
Well, she's fucking
Didn't
on
we
one
learn
now.
that from the Patreon listen to the episode we just recorded? It's about the journey. Mm-hmm. We
Hit me.
explored the life and times.
Well, tell me about the burnt ghost.
The conductor was mortified. When the train stopped, he
I'm
ran
sorry,
back
he was
to find her.
mortified.
Mortified.
I mean, he just obliterated a
mean
fireball.
Embarrassed? Like,
No, he was
Well, you can't stop the
mortified.
train.
Okay.
It's not his
because
fault.
He actually killed someone.
Okay.
He stopped the train and he ran back to find her, and they slowly pulled her charred and mangled corpse out from the wheels and in the nearby churchyard cemetery.
From the wheels.
Out from the wheels, like by
Yeah,
scraps of
yeah.
her. Yes. And because she was so fucking poor, in the nearby churchyard cemetery, they just gave her a pauper's funeral. It's literally a funeral
like an unmarked
for an
grave,
unclaimed
basically.
people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, and they dumped her coffin in a mass grave like the rest of them.
Who this bitch?
Yep.
Bury her ass.
Does anybody want to claim her? No?
No,
All right.
going once,
She
going
didn't
twice.
have family, remember? Nobody knew her. Nobody,
I know.
She was forgetful.
Chuck her
Yeah,
in
I
the
was
woods.
just saying, like, that would be before they bury her. They're just like, one last chance. Does anybody know this? Her nobody?
Anybody know this whore?
Soon after the funeral, another family moved into Jenny's shack. The kind and forgetful woman
A whole
was
family?
indeed forgotten. Yeah, a whole family. When you're struggling to survive every day, it's pretty easy to forget others and have to make do with what you fucking got.
Did she haunt her shack?
About a month later,
Oh, fuck yeah.
another train conductor was driving his train into
Oh, that's
Harper's
even
Ferry
better.
on the B&O Railroad.
Yeah, haunt the railroad
Haunt the
workers.
trains. Yeah.
Fuck those guys.
We
As-
love a haunted train.
As he came around a bend, he suddenly was faced with a giant ball of fire and heard the frantic and terrible screams of a woman piercing the night.
Okay, that's extra terrifying. Ma'am?
He screeched to a halt, but it was too late. The flaming thing had been hit and run over by the train, crushed by the wheels.
Oh, no.
The conductor was mortified.
Again.
When the train stopped again, he ran
reached
back
your
to the
stop.
flaming thing again. But as he got closer, it vanished, and the screaming was suddenly silenced.
Please stand clear of the closing doors.
That's what I was going to say. Literally, you can't have a ghost story like that happen in this day and age because that's exactly what you get. You go, bing bong. You have reached your destination. Please avoid the corpse stuck in the tarmac.
You can just step over Jimmy.
Wipe your shoes on your way out.
On Deborah.
That's damn disrespectful.
Sorry. I went too far.
Now, Deborah was a piece of shit.
Not too far enough.
On John Bell.
Thoroughly freaked by the experience, when
Definitely.
he pulled the train into the station, he recounted the experience to the local station master. The station master, recognizing immediately the incident, said that it was Jenny come back to haunt the tracks. And from then on the anniversary of her death, Screaming Jenny would reappear and reenact her tragic end, terrifying conductor after conductor as they round that last curve in an eternal and vain attempt to be saved from her fiery, brutal death.
Can you just imagine for a second being the first conductor, hearing other people say, "Hey, you fucking piece of shit, that happened to me. That's my fucking story."
Yeah. It starts going around as like a rumor, and he's like,
Oh,
wait a
she's
minute,
a
what?
ghost now?
Oh,
yeah.
Now she vanishes? I had to fucking pull her body out.
I
Yeah.
had to actually pull her arm out of her asshole.
Ooh, you
okay?
got haunted, okay? I pulled her
I thought it was
intestines
the
out
wheels.
from underneath my train.
Whatever.
Yeah, I just say
Man.
close that station. Don't go there anymore. And she can scream and have a ghost train. That's it.
I'd be pissed if I was that first guy.
I would be too. I'd be like, great, I had to go through the actual trauma.
That is the worst case of stolen thunder.
You get to sleep tonight.
You got haunted by her? I actually killed her. Whoops. Talk about the mistake of my lifetime.
I'm gonna try and write a bit about that. That's just unreal.
Yeah.
It's the only important thing that he's ever done in his life is create Screaming Jenny.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, sir, I guess, but not for hitting the real one. Was it a real story or just an urban
I
legend?
mean,
'Cause
this guy's
whoever created
this
the story.
guy's drinking himself to death over hitting this poor woman.
Hold, I
who was
misspoke
ablaze.
again. I meant to say the story. Whoever came up with the story, thank you. Like, or is it a real event?
It's a local West Virginia
Urban
folklore.
Folklore?
Yep.
Okay.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? I guess that's true. So,
The first one's from Tennessee, and this one's from West Virginia.
All I'm trying to say is that we drink a lot in Appalachia.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
there
That's
it
where
is.
that's why moonshine
There's nothing
happens.
else to do.
We're hallucinating a little bit, maybe,
I don't disagree.
behind the wheel of the train.
Final
No,
story.
maybe no train.
No?
Stay away from the train.
No trains?
Not him being like him saying doing a little hallucinogens behind the wheel of a train.
That's what it sounds like these conductors were doing.
Oh, I thought you meant like like you guys were like hanging out behind a train.
No,
and,
they're
like,
licking frogs in the engine room.
I see. I love that episode.
Sticking coal up their butts.
Making diamonds.
Maybe. Depends on how hard you push.
Kegels, guys, Kegels. Sorry. Our last story is.
Ooh.
Yes.
For the final story of spoopy season. I'm sorry. Now that we've talked about it and he's brought up the Scooby Doo thing, I can't help but
I know.
hearing it. We're gonna get semi-local for these two co-hosts of mine.
Oh, less semi-local.
Semi-local.
Colorado.
Chicago.
Chicago.
It was the 1930s, and
Hit me.
Chicago was a poppin'.
Chicago.
Chicago.
A few miles southwest of the city, a girl named Mary was dancing the night away with her boyfriend.
Nice.
She wore a beautiful dancing gown.
Hell yeah.
Twisting the night away.
That was good.
Yeah, she was twisting because she had the nice matching shoes. They were dancing
Making
shoes. It
that
was a whole
skirt billow in the wind.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. They were at the O. Henry Ballroom.
O.
The
Henry.
music and the dancers were all at full swing.
Full swing.
Full swing.
I
Flappers
love
everywhere.
it. Yeah.
As
Well,
happens. Go
How
ahead.
early into the 30s? Because we got a depression coming.
There is a lot of argument on that,
We're
so I'm
already
literally
depressed,
just
babe.
making a little
Alrighty.
estimate because it could go into the 20s, it could go into the 30s.
All right. Well, we're in the general flapper times.
Flapper times were a little bit earlier in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
This is
General
now
flapper times.
solidly in Great Depression times.
Okay, we are not flapping the night away.
We're pre-World War II. How's
Gotcha.
that?
Yeah, that works. That sets the scene a little more.
Yeah. All the
Anxious city.
Great war soldiers have come home and, you know,
The stock market has crashed.
Yeah, we're
It
past
has
that point.
It has happened.
yeah.
People are making gelatin out of a lot of stuff.
Horse bones, mostly. But yeah.
No, but I mean, like, they're putting some nasty foods in gelatin.
Turn you into glue.
Anyway,
Or
ADHD brain, continue.
As happens with young couples, they got into an argument, one which upset Mary greatly. She left the dance floor and soon after left the ballroom venue completely.
They got into an argument on the dance floor.
On the dance floor.
Mid boogie.
Mid boogie. He probably was looking at another girl.
Yeah, that
in
tracks.
her other dancing shoes.
Mid-Charleston.
Mid
Mid-Charleston.
Charleston.
He's checking out another woman's flaps.
Oh shit! You don't look at the flaps.
Not when you're with your girl.
Nah.
Not when you're with your girl.
When you're with your dame, you can't be looking at another one's
Yeah,
flaps.
yeah. You look at her flaps.
It's common courtesy.
Thank you so much.
You fucking animal.
All right, so she left. She
left.
stormed out.
Yep. Upset, she began the relatively short walk up Archer Avenue to her home, which was northeast of the ballroom. Before getting far, however, a car came around a bend and hit her head on. While Mary lay...
Was it the gas?
She's just brutalized.
Second time a moving vehicle has killed a woman in
She's
these stories.
disrespected, then just outright murderlated.
Is this why men think women can't drive?
Yes. But she was a pedestrian.
Wait, was she hit by a woman?
No, she was walking.
But it's
Well,
like
women-
women in
wait,
cars
women
don't
couldn't
make.
drive.
It was
in
a
the
guy.
30s?
According to the story, according to the tale, it was a guy that hit her
Okay.
in the car.
That
Because
tracks.
women couldn't drive in the 30s.
Yeah, they
By
weren't allowed
law?
to have
They
licenses.
couldn't even vote. They couldn't do shit.
In the 30s, you
In the
could
30s,
vote.
you could vote.
No, you couldn't. Not
Yes,
for
you
not
could.
for driving.
Not for driving. Yeah, because I can vote for driving now.
It doesn't matter. No, I think you probably could drive as a woman, but most did.
No, I know. That's what I was saying. Because I did side note.
I was just being
mini
silly.
side note, I promise.
You're fine.
It's not as long as my Dorothy story. But like
Now that I've heard the Dorothy story,
Nothing
no
is long.
tangent can be as long as that, okay?
it was just supposed to be the opening small talk, and it became a whole
It was
episode.
the entire episode, like an entire
So
regular-sized episode of ours.
I am my mother's
about
daughter. I
Dorothy.
can milk a story.
Well, I don't
Got a
know
car.
Terry, so I can't say.
But the reason I bring up the driving thing is I did a whole paper on how women in the 60s, the advertisements never showed women driving, never showed them behind the wheel of a car, always made it seem like, I don't know what I'm doing. Husband, will you drive? I mean, it's like that kind of shit. And it makes me think that like these tales definitely maybe had something. I'm just spitballing.
Maybe.
That's interesting.
But she was a
Maybe
pedestrian, so...
fucking broads just don't know how
No,
to
I
drive.
know, but I'm just saying, is like in general, women in cars, no matter what, don't mix. Stay away from the big scary vehicles.
I didn't say it.
There it is.
I
That's
didn't
what I
say
was
it.
saying. I'm not saying it now, but yes, that was what the
Women
idea
in cars
was.
don't mix.
You
Yeah,
heard
no.
Hannah.
Don't even get close to it. I'm not saying it as advice.
So she gets hit head on. And while Mary lay in the street, slowly bleeding out, the driver took off, and he was never, ever found.
That also tracks.
Yeah. Mary's parents found her
Probably
body.
drunk.
Yeah.
Even-
definitely drunk.
even more
for sure.
accurate.
Absolutely. Mary's parents found her body the next day, and they were absolutely devastated.
No shit.
No shit.
They found it or someone found it?
No, they found it.
That's horrendous.
Yeah. When they buried her in Resurrection Cemetery, they dressed her in one of her favorite gowns, a white dancing dress, and matching white dancing shoes.
And you said that was Resurrection Cemetery?
Resurrection. Yeah, Resurrection
Okay.
Mary.
All right.
A while later, a man named Jerry Paulus was enjoying his evening with his brother at Liberty Grove Hall and Ballroom,
Until
formerly the O. Henry Ballroom.
Oh, shit.
Enter a dame.
Uh-oh.
She was a beautiful young woman dressed all in white.
Ah, yes.
Described as aloof and distant, the woman spent the evening with Jerry,
sounds like a ghost to me.
dancing and twirling through the night. At the end of the dance, the young woman asked for a ride to her home. Jerry asked where it was. Not far, she said. So Jerry, his brother, and the young woman took off on Archer Avenue, driving northeast toward the property she said was her home. Mm-hmm. On the drive, the young woman looked wistful, and she was silent. And suddenly, she sat up and pointed across the driver. There! Stop! So Jerry did so, screeching to a halt and looking out the window to where the woman had pointed. Across the street, Jerry and his brother saw the gates of the Resurrection Cemetery. When he looked back, the young woman looked sad. She told Jerry she had to go now, and that he could not follow her. She got out of the car, and once at the gates, disappeared into the night, leaving Jerry and his brother alone and bewildered.
Yeah. A woman.
A few months after that, another gentleman encountered the woman.
Huh.
Again, they spent the evening reveling and enjoying their night, and again the young woman asked for a ride home. Once they got to the gates of the cemetery, she vanished.
Mm-hmm.
As the years went on, many a man encountered this mysterious and cold woman to various degrees. They'd meet her at a ballroom. She'd dance with them, kiss them, show them cold
Cold
affection.
because it's Chicago in the wintertime.
Yeah. We're
yeah.
all cold.
She'd show them the cold affections of a woman broken and longing for love. They'd see her walking alone along the side of the road, dressed in her white gown and shoes, looking sad. Sometimes she'd simply get in when they were stopped, asking for a ride home.
Oh, she just got in.
Yep, she just opened the door.
I'd be sad too if I died in the Chicago fucking wintertime.
True. I'm getting into anything warm.
Other times she would jump out in front of their cars as they came around a bend. If they swerved and missed her, she'd ask for a ride. Not everyone swerved, though. Sometimes they'd hit her head on, sending her flying and landing a brutal, bloody mess. The men, shocked and horrified, would stop and rush back to help the poor girl, only for her to vanish right before their very eyes as they were checking on her. Sometimes she'd try to jump on the running boards of the cars that were coming back from the ballroom.
Oh, shit.
I love
Just
her.
as quickly as mysteriously as her
The
appearances.
chaos.
The chaos.
The chaos of
He
it all,
loves
yeah.
this chaos.
It just shows up and then boom, your whole life has changed.
You!
Just as quickly and mysteriously as her appearances were the myriad disappearances to go along with them. We mentioned the disappearing at the gate. She would also vanish from being a bloody mess in the middle of the street. When walking down the street, she'd just disappear as suddenly as someone flipping a light switch. Sometimes she'd make it inside the cemetery before disappearing, and once she even left a scorch mark on the gates after putting her hand on the hallowed metal. Although this can also be described as someone who backed their truck into the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since the 1930s, there have been 36 substantiated reports of the sad young woman and the cemetery vanishing, including the following tale, published in 1979 by Bill Geist and the Suburban Trib.
The Tribune.
According to a young man named Ralph, he picked her up near a shopping center on Archer. She was a looker and young enough to be his daughter.
Whoa, don't, sir.
A couple miles up Archer there, she jumped up with a start like a horse and said, Here. I hit the brakes. I looked around. I didn't see no kind of house. Where? I says. Then she sticks out her arm and points across the road to my left and says, There, over there. That's where it happened. I looked to my left like this, and there's this little shack there. And when I turned around, she was gone. Vanished. And the car door never opened. May the good Lord strike me dead and never open.
Chicago man saying, Lord strike me down. Shit.
The good Lord.
The good Lord. Yeah, that one.
The article emphasized that Ralph was not, quote, an idiot or a maniac, but, as he described himself, quote, a typical 52-year-old working guy. Oh, come on. I knew this. A typical 52-year-old.
Yeah, not an idiot or a maniac or nothing, but, just your a typical 52-year-old working guy, a veteran, the father, a little league baseball coach, a churchgoer, the whole shot.
I do. Yes, I do. That was excellent.
In the end of the story, Bill Geist examined Occam's razor. The simple explanation, Ralph, is that you picked up the Chicago area's preeminent ghost, Resurrection Mary. Although there are many a tale of the origin or on who Mary actually was, ranging from Mary Bregovy, who actually died in a hit-and-run in downtown Chicago, to Anna Marija Norkus, a girl who went by Mary and died in a car accident in 1927 on her way home from the O. Henry Ballroom. There may never be an answer, and to this day, so the legend goes, that if a gentleman encounters a mysterious and sad woman at the ballroom or heading northeast along Archer Avenue, he's been chosen by Resurrection Mary.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably a ghost. That makes the most sense, I think.
Can I apply to be Resurrection Mary?
No, the position has been filled.
Damn. I would love to do nothing but scare men. That would be amazing.
It's a bloody mess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I kind of only skimmed it, but there's actually a version of this Resurrection Mary story in our conspiracy book that we went through last week, and we started doing little shorts. So I am going to read it. I would like to compare it just for funsies since we're already here.
Definitely. Let's do it.
See how these stack up. It's actually a little bit longer than one of the shorts, page wise anyway, than some of the other ones we've been reading.
Excellent. Anything else I can learn about this woman? I want to be her for Halloween.
Yeah, right.
White dress and white dancing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So according to this Great American Conspiracies book, it has several different excerpts for this story, which I find really interesting because it doesn't really have that much in depth about a lot of the other stories. So Resurrection Mary. This says, most big cities have their share of ghost stories, and Chicago is no different. But beyond the tales of haunted houses, spirit-infested graveyards, and spooky theaters, there is one Chicago legend that stands out among the rest. The story of a beautiful female phantom, a hitchhiking ghost that nearly everyone in the Windy City has heard of. Her name is Resurrection Mary, and she is Chicago's most famous ghost.
Hell yeah, girl.
So this starts...
Proud of you.
This excerpt is called The Girl by the Side of the Road.
Okay.
So similar, right?
Yeah.
The story of Resurrection Mary begins in the mid-1930s when drivers began reporting a ghostly young woman on the road near the gates of Resurrection Cemetery, located on Archer Avenue in Chicago's southwestern suburbs. I know exactly where this is, too. Some drivers claimed that she was looking for a ride, while others reported that she actually attempted to jump onto the running boards of their automobiles as they drove
Just
past.
so she's bold.
Fucking crazy to me.
I bet we're pulling from a lot of the same sources.
Yeah,
Bold.
for sure.
But there must be something to it if we're seeing the same things.
This is why I do research on with a bunch of different sources, because I want to figure out what are the things that where is it verified at least a couple places.
Common threads, for sure. Yeah. A short time later, the reports took another, more mysterious turn. The unusual incidents moved away from the cemetery and began to center around the O. Henry Ballroom, known today, and this was published in the early 2000s, so it might be different, the Willowbrook Ballroom, located a few miles south of the graveyard on Archer Avenue. Many claimed to see the young woman on the road near the ballroom, and sometimes inside the dance hall itself.
Yeah.
Huh.
Young men claimed that they met the girl at the dance, spending the evening with her, and then offering her a ride home at closing time. Her vague directions always led them north along Archer Avenue until they reached the gates of the cemetery, where the girl would inexplicably vanish from the car. Some drivers even claimed to accidentally run over the girl outside the cemetery. When they went to her aid, her body would always be gone, naturally. Others said that their automobiles actually passed through the young woman before she disappeared through the cemetery gates.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Always leave them wanting more.
Right? Police and local newspapers began hearing similar stories from frightened and frazzled drivers who had encountered the mysterious young woman. These first-hand accounts created the legend of Resurrection Mary as she came to be known. This next excerpt is titled, "Will the Real Resurrection Mary Please Stand Up?"
Excellent.
Is it about Anna and Mary Bergovi?
Sure is.
Yeah. I'm fine with you going into this because I didn't care enough to do it, so go for it.
And there's one more excerpt after that, I think, too.
Yep.
So this one version of the story says the Resurrection Mary was a young woman who died on Archer Avenue in the early 1930s. On a cold winter's night, Mary spent the evening dancing at the O. Henry Ballroom, but after an argument with her boyfriend, decided to walk home, which is what Lauren was talking about first. She was killed when a passing car slid on the ice and struck her. You're good. According to the story, Mary was buried in the Resurrection Cemetery and since that time has been spotted along Archer Avenue. Many believe that she may be returning to her eternal resting place after one last dance. The legend has been told countless times over the years in this way, and there may actually be some element of truth to it. But there may be more than one Resurrection Mary haunting Archer Avenue.
Hey.
One of the prime candidates for Mary's real-life identity was a young Polish girl named Mary Bergovi, who loved to dance, especially at the O. Henry Ballroom, and was killed one night in 1934 after spending the evening at the ballroom and then downtown at some of the late-night clubs. She was killed along Wacker Drive in Chicago when the car that she was riding in collided with an elevated train support. Her parents buried her in Resurrection Cemetery. And then a short time later, a cemetery caretaker spotted her ghost walking through the graveyard. Stranger still, passing motorists on Archer Avenue soon began telling stories of her apparition trying to hitch rides as they passed the cemetery's front gates. For this reason, many believe that the ghost stories of Mary Bergovi may have given birth to the legend of Resurrection Mary. However, she may not be the only one, as encounters with Mary have been passed along over the years. Many descriptions of the phantom have varied. Mary Bergovi had bobbed light brown hair, but some reports describe Resurrection Mary as having long blonde hair. Who could this ghost be? Well, it's possible that this may be a young woman named Mary Miskowski, who was killed along Archer Avenue in October of 1930. According to sources, she also loved to dance at the O. Henry Ballroom and some of the local night spots. Many people who knew her in life believe that she might be the ghostly hitchhiker reported in the southwestern suburbs. In the end, we may never know her true identity, but there's no denying that sightings of her have been backed up with credible eyewitness accounts, whatever that means. In these real first-person reports, witnesses give specific places, dates, and times for their encounters that remain unexplained to this day. Besides that, Mary is one of the few ghosts to ever leave physical evidence behind. The Gates of Resurrection Mary.
Uh-huh.
And then there's one more short one after that wraps it up.
Okay.
On August 10th of 1976, around 10:30 p.m., a man driving past Resurrection Cemetery noticed a young girl wearing a white dress standing inside the cemetery gates.
There she is.
Mm-hmm.
She was holding on to the bars of the gate,
Well, that's different.
looking out toward the road. Thinking that she was locked in the cemetery, the man stopped at a nearby police station and alerted an officer to the young woman's predicament. An officer responded to the call, but when he arrived at the cemetery, the girl was gone. He called out with his loudspeaker and looked for her with a spotlight, but nobody was there. However, when he walked up to the gates for a closer inspection, he saw something very unusual. It looked as though someone had pulled two of the green-colored bronze bars, and pulled them with such intensity that handprints were seared into the metal. The bars were blackened and burned at precisely the spot where a small woman's hands would have been. When word got out about the handprints, people from all over the area came to see them. Cemetery officials denied anything supernatural had occurred, and they later claimed that the marks were created when a truck had accidentally backed into the gates.
See, that was where I was thinking. It was until you said handprints,
Yep.
I was like, it's that guy just going, oh my God, it was a girl.
They also claimed that a workman had tried to heat them up and bend them back, which which is their explanation of the scorch marks.
That makes sense.
It was convenient, but it failed to explain the indentations that appeared to be left by small fingers and were plainly visible in the metal bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
interesting to me.
No, the
yeah.
guy heated it up and was trying to bend him back. He's going to use that with his gloved hands.
Well, not just that. What they're saying is the hands were too small to be a man's hands.
Small men can do jobs.
They can, but not the guy that they claimed it was.
Okay, all right.
At least in this case.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Cemetery officials were disturbed by the new publicity, so in an attempt to dispel the crowds of curiosity seekers, they tried to remove the marks with a blowtorch. This made them even more
Even
noticeable.
more, yeah.
Yep.
They
So
made
they
them
cut
even
out
worse.
the bars with plans to straighten and replace them.
Oh, no fun.
Removing the bars only made things worse as people wondered what the cemetery had to hide.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, just leave him there and be like, no, it was the truck. Just
Yeah.
forget about it.
Their hands, guys.
Forget about it.
Local officials were so embarrassed that the bars were eventually put back into place, straightened, and then left alone so that the burned areas would oxidize and eventually match the other bars.
All right. Wait, hold on. So they cut these bars out, and then they had to apologize and put the bars back in, but they straightened them so they wouldn't have the teeny tiny fingered marks, but they left the scorch marks that were caused by both the fingers and the torches to try and
That
repair
are
it the
then
first few
still
times.
in the shapes of hands.
Chicago.
So check this out. However, the blackened areas of the bars did not oxidize.
So it's still there, the handprint.
The twisted handprints remained obvious until the late 1990s when they were finally removed.
No,
The
I want to
bars-
see these.
The bars were permanently removed.
Rude.
At great expense.
Rude.
Resurrection Cemetery replaced the entire front gates.
Fuck off.
But that was their excuse to finally get rid of the fucking
Correct.
bars. Like, they
And
had
the
to
bad
do
publicity.
it the whole fence to be able to have an excuse to finally take these things down.
That's crap.
Yep. But the broken spirit lingers on. The last excerpt.
Ooh.
Sightings of Resurrection Mary aren't as frequent as in years past, but they do still continue. Even though a good portion of the encounters can be explained by the fact that Mary has become such a part of Chicago lore that nearly everyone has heard of her.
Yeah.
Some of the sightings seem to be authentic. So whether you believe in her or not, Mary is still seen walking along Archer Avenue. People still claim to pick her up during cold winter months, and she continues to be the Windy City's most famous ghost.
All right, there's your wind sounds. All right, so yeah, Resurrection Mary. I'm going to try to resurrect her for Halloween.
Zombie Hannah Moses.
Going as Resurrection Mary. Paint it.
So this is going to come out near Halloween.
Sweet.
Excellent.
It's going to be our little spoopy episode.
That'll
So
be very fun.
happy Halloween, guys.
Halloween.
Hello, Scream.
How to scream.
Do you know what you're going as? I think
just-
I've already talked about this.
Yeah,
I just said Resurrection Mary. I got to figure out how to dress like that. It's pretty easy.
White dress, white shoes.
I'm going to be a
Done.
white flapper girl.
You have to powder your face. and spray your hair.
Yeah, make it really pale.
Then I gotta get fake blood too.
Oh, I
Fake
have
blood.
fake blood I can bring you
Excellent.
next week. Yeah.
Excellent.
Lots of
Fake
it.
blood out of corn syrup and food dye. It's
Oh
not that
yeah.
hard. If you're painting clothes with red paint, is that what you're trying to do? Just like blood splatter stuff?
Probably.
What works really well is if you get red latex paint, which you can get for a couple bucks at a hobby store. We're going to go to a hobby store later because we're going to do spoopy paintings.
Yeah.
You can mix like a little bit of black in there, and it looks perfect for red. And it's nice because it's thick enough to where it like goes on top of the clothes, so it's easier to see.
Okay.
Yeah, but red latex paint is great for blood splatter for clothes, and you can just like
Excellent.
flick it off the brush at the clothes.
Perfect.
Just hang it up on a hanger, like in your garage or whatever.
Oh yeah, we'll have like
Go
a tarp.
nuts. Yeah. All right. Anyway, this has been a fucking podcast. Happy spoopy season, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Boo, bitches.